Hello there, lovely crafters. Well, what do we have here? We have a completed terrific telephone treat box. So this is what Tonic Craft Kit 64 enables you to make, the terrific telephone treat box. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to give you a brief look at the contents of the kit, and I do mean brief, and then we'll launch straight into the full tutorial of how to assemble this. So if you're looking at it and thinking, oh, that looks a bit daunting, don't worry, I'll break it down step by step, so you will be able to make this project, everyone at every ability. So let's dive in, shall we? Okay, so welcome my crafty friends. Today we are looking at Tonic Craft Kit 64, the terrific telephone treat box. So it's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it, with the name? And then when we look at the colour palette, all of the lovely cardstock that we've got, it's very much sort of geared to a traditional English telephone box, for which the UK is quite famous for. So we've got black 300 GSM paper, some white vellum, red cardstock, black and red glitter cardstock, some matte mirror, a silver cardstock, some pearlescent silver, and some beautiful bright holographic silver. We've also got the die set here with some very detailed instructions to show you how to assemble the gift box, with different decorations as well. We've got some sentiments in there, happy birthday, telephone. We've got even got a die of the crown, which the telephone boxes have on them. Some lovely more sentiments there, and some florals and whatnot. And then in terms of Nouveau, we've got the Merry and Bright Nouveau ink pads, so we can sort of use those to add some more interest. We've got full size glacier paste in winter white, so that can be used in a variety of different ways. Some lovely silver lining metallic Nouveau drops, again full size. I don't think they do the mini sizes anymore, I think they just give us full sizes. And then I'm really quite happy to get this, to be honest. Little ink dauber with 5 ink pads, so a lot of bang for our buck here, guys. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is decide which way I want to go with it, because obviously you can go with the traditional sort of red telephone box by sort of using the red and then maybe the holographic red, or you could do something completely different. You could do like a gothic telephone box, or just loads of different things. So I'm going to go away and have a think about which way I'm going to go, but ultimately, as I always do in my 3D make videos, is it will be a tutorial showing you step by step how to make the box. I think it's just good to have the variety of being able to see a tutorial, especially if you're a visual learner like I am, so you can sort of watch along and sort of craft along and just pause the video as we're going along. So I'll go away and do the die cutting and whatnot, and then be back in a mo and we shall get started. Okay, so I decided to go for the traditional English red postbox kind of theme. So I'm going to talk you through the various elements, and we'll be referring to the instructions as we go, so you can see how what I'm showing you lines up with the instructions. So the first bit that it talks about here is to create the lid. So for that you need to cut out 1 square and 4 of these, which are glue tabs, to fit on the square, and then 4 of these, and that's because it makes this lovely shape on the top. So I decided to say that all of my doors and everything are just the red classic card, and basically you just fold. There's a clear score line there, so if you're like me and you've got nails, although I did cut them yesterday, you can just use your nails or use a bone folder. And then you just, so I've done 3 of them, but you just, and again, I absolutely love these new, well, they're not that new anymore now, the fine detailed nibbed Nouveau Deluxe adhesive additions to the bottle. You just can stick them on your normal bottles. So you just bring it up so that the edge of the score line is at the edge of the line of the square, not going past it, which is where it's good to use adhesive, wet adhesive on this, because you get a bit of wiggle time. So there we go, and then it's always good practice to use a bone folder to help the glue sort of embed and mesh the fibres of the one side of the paper to the other side. So that's sort of the base of the lid. And then what we do next is to stick on the pretty sides. So I made a pretty front one. I used the there's a little telephone die which debosses telephone, and then there's an outer die and then an intricate die that you use separately, and I've stuck that on there, and then used a few of the Nouveau drops as well, but these are, I did one layer yesterday using the sliced strawberry Nouveau ink pad, but I've just put another layer over and just one layer on that, so we'll come back to finishing that off in a little while. So the next step is to do the actual sides of the box. So there are 2 very similar looking dies. In fact, the only difference between them, well, there are differences between them, but what I noticed straight away is this little bit, which is like, it's like a little handle. So you can construct it in 2 ways. You can either use this die 4 times, and then you'll have a lid that you can take off and put treats inside, or you can use 3 of these and 1 of these, which gives you a door that opens, and you can then still use the lid as well, or instead of, if you want to make this the only way that it opens, then you can glue the lid down, or you can have both options. And then you need 4 of these hinges, which you stick on the sides. So these are what actually form the sides of the box. And then there's a rectangular die just here, and you need to only cut that if you want to put something behind the doors, the glass panels. So because there's vellum in the kit, I've used vellum, and that's a nice option. You can also use some acetate or leftover packaging or something like that. And then what I also did, because I chose to use the 216 GSM card, obviously, you know, it's okay for construction, but when you're cutting out areas like this, you've got tiny little bits like this, it can feel a bit flimsy, so I like to reinforce it when I do that. So I cut 4 extra ones, so 3 extra of the regular sides, and one extra of the door. So you can see here, like this, well, you can't actually see, which is the point. So I have stuck two of those together and then stuck the hinge there. And then with these ones I have just cut, all you have to do is just cut it and then you cut the flap off, because you don't need two of the flaps, and it just makes it stronger. So after cutting the first one, to make this you use the first one, so pretty side out, and it's actually this way up, because these go onto the base, and then you stick the vellum on there, and then this obviously lines up perfectly that way. So let me just show you how to do that. So yeah, so we've got the one as it is. Now there's not a massive gap around the you don't need to put too much glue around the edge, because the panel, the rectangular panel that I've cut out of vellum that you could use packaging for, is only slightly bigger than the area that we want to cover, so you don't need to put glue, too much glue on. Of course, if you were using some packaging, you could just cut it to a bit bigger if you wanted to. You could cut it so it goes to the edges, which would in fact make it even stronger. If you were making a black one with the 300 GSM card included, you probably wouldn't need to double up like this. However, as well as adding extra strength, I think it just makes it look more attractive, and my plan for this one is to use it as a lantern. So I'm going to put a little battery operated tea light in there, so having the vellum on there will look really pretty. So obviously I'll be opening, or the recipient will be opening the door. So if I mean, it would be fine to just have it like this, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm a bit persnickety, so I like to make the insides or all visible parts as pretty as possible. So again, by adding that extra one over the top, it makes it look even prettier. You can see it's a bit like these delicate little bits are sort of a bit difficult to press down, they're a bit wibbly wobbly. That's another reason why I just think it's really good to just reinforce it. Any detail, very detailed thing like this, if you can reinforce it. So now this is already double reinforced, so it's going to be triple reinforced, which is good because it's a movable part. So it's always, obviously it's good to reinforce parts, but obviously if they're movable, it's sort of even more important that they're nice and strong. You can see that the door doesn't want to quite close properly. I must not have lined this up perfectly. So all you need to do here is just trim. Trim this little excess bit off and check. Seems okay. Right, so you can see now how to make both a standard side and also the door. So then what you do is stick one of the hinges to one side of your panels and then stick the next panel to that. So I'll show you that bit. So the flaps, just remember that the bigger bit goes at the top, and the smaller bit with the flap goes at the bottom, because it would be such a shame at this point if we made a boo-boo and had to do loads of die cutting, especially if you've reinforced and everything. That would be a pain in the bottom, wouldn't it? So where is my... Oh, I love this bone folder, the Teflon bone folder. You can get these from Tonic. I'll put my my affiliate links in the description box. So if you're not a subscriber and you think, wow, these are fab, I want to try out one of these kits, or I want to subscribe, then the links are there, and if you click on one of them I'll get a small commission because I'm an affiliate. So I think I stuck, yes, that's that one. That one hasn't got a hinge, so I need to stick a hinge on this one. So I made a boo-boo and I stuck a hinge on there and then a hinge on here because I'm not concentrating properly. So yeah, I'll have to cut another hinge now, but never mind. So I've just got to cut another hinge because because I wasn't concentrating. So it is better just to stick the hinges on as you go around and not do them in advance. I was just trying to just prep as much as I could beforehand, but obviously that didn't work. Oh well. Ooh, coming together. So we're almost finished with the construction of the sides now. And then this side, the third side, attaches to the door. So I've just been having a little look at the, there's a magnetic door closure, which I thought was quite cool. So this is the last hinge here. So as you can see, because this is a very thin bit, just make sure you can see this properly. So I'll fold the door as open as it will go. Because this is very thin, the errant fluff there is a bit of the hinge that you see underneath. But the door closes like flush against that. Okay, so because of that, rather than trying to guess how much glue to put on there, I think it's just easiest if we put a thin bead of glue along this side. And so I really would recommend just using strong wet glue for this and not like red line tape or anything, because it's, you know, you need to just fiddle about with it and make sure you get it in the right place. As you can see, I'm blobbing glue all over the place. So if I tried to do that with red line tape, we'd end up in a right old pickle, because this stuff we can just wipe off, but red liner tape would ruin our project in the final steps. to make sure, so we want to make sure that this is adhered properly at each end. In fact, it's okay to flatten it like that, because it's I always tend to say this, if you've got something that's equidistant, you can fold it like that. Try and get rid of these bits of glue. Yep, that looks pretty good. So we'll commit with the bone folder. Okay, and then the door shuts nicely there. So you can see the door wants to open there, which is why it's been designed to have a magnetic closure. But before we get to that, we will create the lid. So as we saw before, I used the red card, stuck the hinges on, and then our other pieces here are ready and dry, and or just about dry. I think that looks quite cute. It's got a bit of red ink on there, but no drama. So this is a case of sticking, so these hinges are what we stick the bottom of these two, and then we also attach the side flaps. Side flaps. So move this over to make sure that that bends. We want it to be able to attach to the next bit. So just got to wiggle that over a bit and down. So we don't want any of this poking through the bottom, and we want that to be flush there in the corner so that it can glue onto its neighbour. So we just hold that for a few seconds. So now with this side will attach onto there a little bit. Just got to take our time with this. And because the back is just regular card, that will stick on quite nicely. But obviously with this being mirror card, it's a bit more, it's not as tacky. It's a bit more difficult to adhere. So this one's been a naughty from the start. Right, come on you. So I'll just show you the first couple. I won't show you all of it. That'll be the lid made. Then I'll show you how to construct the base. Then we'll make the magnetic lock, and then we'll stick everything onto the base. There we go. And so we just carry on round. So you glue, just put a bead of glue there, that onto there, and so on and so forth. I'll finish up that off camera, and then we'll come back and do the base. Okay, so I finished off the sides to the lid. Just to say, the last one, I had to cut the tab off because obviously it couldn't go over and it couldn't go under. So I cut the tab off there, but you could slightly see a gap. So I just made a tiny little hinge from one of the leftover little rectangles actually. Just sort of trimmed it, put a little hinge there and also a little hinge underneath, so that makes it sort of fit snugly as if there were one of these tabs there. So that's just a little hack for you. Maybe I trimmed too much of the flap off, so just be mindful of that. But I say, if it doesn't look like the way you want it to, you can easily make a little hinge there. So to make the base, we use this die, and then we cut that twice, so that gives us a square with 4 glue tabs, and 2 of them are shorter than the other 2. And so it says join the 2 die cuts together using the smaller tabs. So what I've done here is just folded and burnished all the glue tabs. So to assemble this, you put glue on the outsides of the 2 shorter glue tabs, and then they fit nicely inside the base there. And then what you've got left is the longer glue tabs, which you then glue to the outside. It makes sense when you start doing it, but because that the longer area will go over the other glue tab, so it looks very nice and neat. Okay, so the lock mechanism was confusing me a little bit, but I think I have it figured out. So on you can't really see it on pearlescent card, but on the mirror card you can see that that is the keyhole, and that's the door handle, and this is a fold line. So it looks on here like you use the outer circle here, then attach the middle circle, and then the magnet. So they're all attached onto that. And then on the other side of the door is the corresponding magnet and magnet closure, like that. So in order for that to work, something's got to be glued down. So I am assuming that it's this bit, because it actually perfectly lines up there. So this, if this is glued, if the if the lock there is glued onto this bit, which is unstable because it hasn't got a base, but it's okay. It doesn't tell you to cut out a square for the base, but I'm going to anyway. I did that on do you remember that is it Terrific Treats drawer? It's the one where you could have like 3 drawers on one side and 3 on another, or 3 drawers on one side and 1 open compartment on the other. That just had the flaps going onto the base, but I added a base to that as well, just because it's easier. So basically, if I glue that onto there and then put the magnet and the circle there, and then the magnet and the circle the other way around, on the inside, then because this is stuck down, this will then open. So that's what we're going to do, guys. But I do think it's going to be easier, I don't know to do it at this point or afterwards, just to have just to cut a square, to have a square base. It just keeps it more sturdy rather than it flip-flopping around. But I think we'll be okay. So I am actually gonna pull out some collal glue, just because of this being magnets, and they are quite strong magnets. So this would probably be fine to use Nuvo with, but I'd rather attach the magnets with collal, which goes all stringy. And it's a bit smelly, but I think that's what we need. Okay. Okay, I got it slightly too high, but that's okay. So we can see that it's a lock. Ooh. Give it. There we go. So that looks like that's working. So that looks like the same as the diagram. So that is poking out. That is in. And I'm going to attach this onto there so that it will open and close magnetically. Okay, so the magnets are attached to each other, so I just need to attach that circle to that. So I think that this is my best understanding of how this works. Okay, so I have adhered the inner magnet like that and the outer magnet like that. I'm not letting them touch at the moment because I'm still waiting for the glue to dry, but I am going to just pop a square on the bottom here before adding it to the base. It's just personal preference. I just think it's easier, to be honest. You don't have to do this, and I say it doesn't say do it in the instructions, but just personal preference from completing similar kinds of projects where you're attaching something to a base. It's easier if it's already on a base. So we've created our lid, we've created our base, we've created our the sides of our make. So we really are in the final stages now. There's one thing that I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it off camera, simply because of the time that it will take. But I tested this theory out last night before when I was doing my prep. So I'll just hold that there a second while I tell you what I'm going to do and show you actually. So I just thought that because we've got the lovely winter white glacier paste, this is what it looks like when it dries on vellum, so it doesn't make it warp or anything, and it looks really pretty. And I am kind of envisaging this as being like, because of the weather at the moment, and being January, it's still very much wintry, so I am going to put some glacier paste in, well, at least some of these anyway, in the corners, so it'll look like that. Just like little bits of snow have fallen, so that way we've used most of the products available actually. Yeah, we've used everything in the kit, obviously not all the cardstock, and I say I've gone quite traditional. Oh, these are wanting to touch. That's a good sign. Yeah, they're touching, they're moving away. Boom, there we go. That's our magnetic closure. Anyway, so I can now go ahead and stick this to the base and stick the lid on as well. Okie dokie. Right, so, and then the telephone box lid goes on like so. Ta-da! How cute is that? Great. So there we go. So all I'm going to do now is just add on those little bits of winter white glacier paste, and then I'll be back in a moment with the finished article. And here we go, my crafty friends, the completed article. So all of the glacier paste has now dried. I put quite a bit on the top as well. Obviously if we're going to have snow on the sides, there needs to be snow on the top, so I sort of just use my finger and then a pokey tool. I think that looks really cute. And then we've got like the opener on the door, and because I was finding that the magnet here wasn't sticking very well because this magnet was quite strong, I just stuck the circle inner from that die over the top of the magnet, just to give it a bit more distance to like sort of diffuse the amount of strength in the magnet, in this magnet here, and that's worked perfectly. So you can open that up and pop in a tea light or some string lights. That's sort of what I've geared this project towards. Obviously it's a terrific telephone treat box, so you can of course put treats in there, but because I've used the vellum deliberately because I thought it'd look really nice as a lantern. Unfortunately, because my craft room is still only like 2/3, 3/4 unpacked, I haven't got a tea light to put in there to show you, but that's what it looks like. So I hope you found this tutorial beneficial and interesting. If you've picked up any tips and found value in it, please use your thumb and give it a like. That helps YouTube to know that people are enjoying my videos, so that they will show them to more people. And if anything wasn't quite clear enough for you, there's no such thing as a silly question, so please just put your question in the comment and I will always respond and get back to you with an appropriate answer or the best of my ability. So I hope that I've used the magnet in the correct way, but it works this way anyway. So even if it was designed to work in another way, which you'll be shown on the live, the official live by Tonic, then this is just another way of using it if it was designed to be used in a different way. But you can see, it probably doesn't pick it up on camera, but you can see here on that bit the keyhole. So there we go. So I'll put the playlist here with all of my other Tonic Craft Kit videos, and then I'll put a link to the first video in my craft reorganisation room series. There's 3 or 4 videos there so far, and that will continue on. So if you fancy having a nose, if you're a nosy person like me, at what my old craft room used to look like and how I was going about changing that, then pop on and have a look. But other than that, I'll see and speak to you soon with some more crafty goodness. Bye for now.